All right. So I think some days ago I got a message from OJ, and when he asked me this question, I felt it was important that I did not answer him privately. So I thought it would be a good idea to talk on the platform and have him ask the question on the platform and address it there so that it can be recorded and shared. Because after OJ and I spoke, we kind of came to the consensus that this is something that a lot of people feel too. So I think the answer or what I feel I would like to tell OJ would be more productive if I shared it with everyone because everybody at some point in their life or the other feels this way. And the question he asked me is one of those questions that really got me to go back and think because it's so relatable and so honest. And so he asked me, he said, um, there are some times when you are, as a business person, you don't have jobs to do. It seems like there's a long spell between clients where you do not have clients coming, you don't have jobs to do. And for him, as a man, he feels a lot of pressure when when he's not occupied or working actively. He feels he feels some pressure. And I guess for OJ's question, where it really concerned me was for him. He told me that because he feels this pressure, he starts to feel even he gets worried and anxious to the point where he has some chest pain. And I've been relating with OJ for a while, for quite a while. I think if I look at everybody on the mentoring group, I think OJ is the one I've, if I'm not wrong, been relating with the longest. Even though he joined the mentoring group officially after a lot of people had joined, I've been relating with him since BBM days, like BlackBerry. So we used to message each other then, and you know, it's over our time of talking. It's not the first time OJ has told me, look, when he feels worried, he has some chest pain. Now, for OJ who is on this call, first thing I want to say is, I think you need to get that pain checked out. That chest pain, very important. You get it checked out. Go to a hospital, see a doctor, book an appointment, see a doctor, get it checked out. Do you understand? It could be a variety of things, but you want to get it checked out. Do you understand? So, you know, a lot of times when I get messages, I discuss it with my wife. My wife happens to be a medical doctor, and when I told about the chest pain, when you feel anxious, you feel worried, you have this chest pain. She was like, "Oh, he needs to go get that checked out." It could be a lot of things. It could be ulcer because sometimes ulcer is triggered off by anxiety and worry. I have a case of I have ulcer myself, and I've been managing it now for a number of years, and it started since university. You understand? So that's been a while, and just intense pain in your chest, and it's triggered off when I'm stressed a lot or when I'm having exams. I don't eat well or stuff like that. But it's something you want to nip in the bud. But I'm not even saying it's ulcer. So, but whatever the case, you want to get a doctor's opinion. Don't just go to a pharmacy or stuff. Because those guys are going to try to sell you drugs. You want someone that is going to ask you questions: how long it has been, where exactly you're feeling the pain, how, and you would get an answer to that. You get an answer to that, and you can begin to deal with that. You understand? So I believe when we have pain, is our body telling us something. We want to nip that in the bud. But back to OJ's question. OJ said he feels this pain because he feels some anxiety when he's not working at a job. Um, and it's almost like something that can lead to some form of depression because you've not been engaged in a while. So you feel anxiety building up because you feel you're not earning. And it kind of so he's asking, what do you do in that kind of case where you you've not been engaged? Clients are not just calling, and it's telling on your health, it's telling on your mind, it's telling on your psyche. What do you do? And that's a very good question. And he followed up the question by another question that another concern that he had, where he was working on a project with somebody, and um, or he was asked to work on a project, and he brought on a vendor to work on the project with him, uh, or work for him on the project. And while the vendor was working on it, the vendor kind of took over the project, you understand, and started working with the client directly and got another job and kind of ousted OJ. And he was saying he felt really bad with that because he was like, I introduced you to work under me, you understand, on this project, and now you're working behind me to work with this client, and now you are now taking contracts and you like ousted me, you understand? So he felt really bad about that and he's saying, how can he deal with that? Now, those two questions are very connected, and I'll tell you how when we go forward. The first question is more serious than the second question, but the first question is very linked to the second question. So I'll try to answer the first question. And when you can answer the first question, you will know how to deal with the second question. So the first question is, how do you deal with a situation when you are not engaged, you're not earning, you don't have any job, you're a business person, you set up this business so that you can work with clients, and clients are not coming, and you feel bills stacking up, or you can even see future bills that would come, whereby you are seeing Christmas coming, you are seeing school fees coming, you are seeing house rent coming, and that anxiety is beginning to build up. And for him, a married man with a child, I know how it feels because I used to feel that way too. And this time last year, I was in the thick of feeling that way because this time last year, my wife had just given birth, had a child, and I had not had clients contact me for up to 6 months. And I was scared. I was very scared. And for you guys on the mentoring group, I shared with you an audio that I did, just documenting my fear and my pain and my worry and my frustration. And that's exactly how I felt. That audio that you heard was the way I felt. That frustration, that anger, that fear. Now, what do you do in that situation? First of all, I want you guys to know, especially for the guys here, for the guys, the men, you understand, there is this burden that men carry, and it's the burden that, especially when you are married, you carry this burden of being the provider of the family. You feel you are the provider. A lot of us carry that burden of I am the one that provides for this family. If I am not working, my family would not be provided for. It's a big concern that a lot of guys carry. I saw my dad carry it. I carried it for a while. And I see a lot of guys, my friends, I see them carry it. You understand? That's why we work. That's why we work ourselves to the ground. You understand? That's why a guy stays away from his family a lot to try to get money to work. You understand? And by doing that, it puts us in a position where we ignore some other things that we should do because we are so caught up with the provider status. Now, one thing I want to make clear to OJ and to the other guys here, Benjamin, you're here, you're going to get married very soon. Victor, you're going to get married soon. Bright, Temi Tope, I'm going to talk to you. And Sandy, you understand, you are going to get married. You need to encourage your husband too in this because you are going to feel that. Because every time I felt this, my wife felt the strain because I acted out on her. So I was like snappy, I was irritable because I felt the pressure of providing for them. Now, one thing I would say to get it clear You are not the provider. Get that narrative out of the way. You are not the provider. You are not the provider. You are not the provider. If that's all you're going to get from this uh, talk, if that's all, I'll be satisfied. Let that ring in your head. That's not your office. You're not the provider. And you'll say, so what do I mean by you not being the provider? That's not what you've been fed. That's not what you've been, what they've told you, what your parents are, what society has told you is that you are the provider. The man provides. No, you're not the provider. That's too much pressure. It's you taking up too much pressure. You are going to be scared the rest of your life if you assume that office. You are not the provider. You are a receptacle through which God provides for your family. If you can understand that, your stress level will reduce greatly. You are a receptacle through which God sees as ideal to provide through. Your makeup makes you ideal as a provision receptacle. But you are not the provider. So your job is to be around so that you can be available to be used as a medium for provision. So I'll give you this example. You see, because of the way Nigeria is, I have a generator. I use it every day because there's no light. You understand? At night, there's no light. There's light right now, but give them a few hours, they will take it. So, generator works every day. I have an inverter, solar, all those things, just to make up for the failings of the government. But I'll tell you about the generator. Now, for me to fill that generator, there are a couple of things I need. There are three things I need. There is the jerry can in which I buy the fuel. Then there is a small like container into which I pour some fuel. You understand? I pour some fuel into this container, and then there is the funnel into which I pour the the petrol from the container into the funnel, and the funnel now pours it into the generator. Now, the truth of the matter is, I need these three things because number one, the jerry can is always too heavy. You understand? The 25-liter, 50-liter, whatever it is, 25-liter jerry can. It's too heavy for me as a person. I'm not that strong, you understand? To carry it and pour directly into the gen. I will waste a lot because it's just too heavy. So I need an intermediary whereby I can pour a couple into a bowl that I can manage. Now, when I pour into that bowl, because of the way that bowl is shaped, I can't pour it directly into that opening of the gen, that round small opening, because it will waste. So I need a funnel because of the shape of the funnel. The funnel is large at the top and it tapers down. It allows me to be able to pour without wasting, and every single drop goes into the generator. Now, where I'm going with this is that that funnel doesn't provide the fuel. So when I buy a funnel, I've not bought fuel. So I can't say, oh, this funnel is what provides fuel for my. No, no, no. It doesn't provide fuel. It makes it easy by the shape and the material for me to pour fuel into my generator. But it is not the provider of the fuel. It's a receptacle that makes pouring of the fuel easy. If it is taken away, pouring of the fuel will become hard. You understand? So I want you to understand that scenario. As a man, you're not the provider. You don't provide the fuel, but you are a good enough receptacle for which through which God can provide without wastage. A man is a good receptacle for that because you are strong, you are hard, you understand, you can be a good interface between the world and the family, through which you can have provision flow. But you are not the provider. If you were the provider, OJ, you know what will happen? It will mean that if you died, and I hope you really live long, OJ, but if you died, it means that if a man should die, very soon the wife and the children should die. If the man is the provider, the wife and the children should die soon after the man dies, because it means that there's no way they can be provided for if the man is the provider. But we know that is not true, because men die and leave their wife and their children. And do they die after the man dies? No, they live on. That means they still get provided for. That means the provider is not dead, but the receptacle has been taken away. I hope it's not confusing anyone. The receptacle has been taken away, but the provider is still there. That's why the family doesn't die after the man dies. You understand? The family still continues. The children still eat. That they still change clothes. They still go to school, even after the man dies. That means the receptacle has been taken away. And now what happens is that your wife assumes that receptacle position if she doesn't get married to somebody else. But then she'll assume that receptacle position. And what happens is it might take some time to assume that receptacle position. She will go through some hard times because she's not formed for that from the onset to be the appropriate receptacle for provision. But once you are not there, like once I lose my funnel, I lose it, and that's happened a lot of times. My funnel, maybe my dogs just eat it, they just eat it and just spoil it. I don't have a funnel, and I have to put. You know what I now have to do? I now have to take a container that is not meant to be a funnel, and now cut it like a bottle. And that's what I'm using right now because I've been tired of my dog destroying my funnel. So I cut a bottle, I cut it from the top. See, in cutting that bottle, there's a lot of pain, but I'm reshaping it, and now the bottle now becomes a funnel. You understand? But you see, the fact that I don't have a funnel anymore doesn't mean that fear won't come. Just that now I need to make like a makeshift funnel. And that's when a man dies, the woman goes through some hard times. But that hard time makes her tougher. It makes her tougher, it makes her stronger, it makes her it's because she's forming into a receptacle. So that because provision has to come. You understand? So she becomes a receptacle. And becoming that receptacle, she goes through some tough time. And before you know it, you see a woman send 5 children to school and they go to good schools abroad and stuff like that. And you'll be surprised, no man. Because what God needs is the receptacle. You are not the provider. Once you understand that, all you need to do is to wait on the provider and be available when there's fuel to pour into the gem. Once you understand that, you realize it's not you doing the permutation. I need to provide, or else my family will die. Your family will not die. Your family won't die. We give too much credit to ourselves, thinking we are the ones that make things happen. No, you are just positioned, and God sends people to you per time for you to take, not to make. You don't make the opportunities, you take the opportunities because God knows you are the receptacle through which He provides. And just like women too take on, we are the carers. And that's what brings a lot of burden on women too. And like we are the carers of the family. You're not the carer. You're a receptacle through which God shows his care and his love. You're not the carer. So when women try to micromanage, oh man, I need to care for my children. I need to do this. I need to, too much pressure. They're like, oh, too much housework, too much this. I need to care. If I don't do it, who will do it? That's just a lie. You understand? If you don't do it, if you die as a woman, your husband will be, if he doesn't get married to someone else. I'm just saying just because people get married again, but if he doesn't get married to someone else, the family go on. I know men who have raised their children. When they started out before their wife died, they didn't know how to cook. But when the wife died, they started to learn how to cook because they must be a receptacle for care. So they'll go through a hard time first. Then they become good carers. Then the man who used to be so hard becomes soft and becomes emotional and is now able to listen to his daughter and patient. And before you know it, he has become a mother and a father because he becomes that receptacle. So you are not the carer. So when the woman dies, the family doesn't lose love and care. They might lose the receptacle, but they don't lose it because God's love and care must flow through somebody. So God shapes that person into the receptacle. And in a situation where the husband and the wife go, then you know what happens? The first child becomes the receptacle. It will be hard, but it becomes that. I've seen this thing happen way too many times. So you see a first child, you just I've lost father, lost mother, 19-year-old takes care of the family. Do you understand? So when you take that pressure on yourself that I am the provider, if I'm not working, nothing will come in. No. And this brings me to where I'm really going. There is a difference between working and having a job. There's a difference between working and having a job. There is. And I'll tell you what I mean by this. You see, let's go back to the origin of work. And I go back to what I use as my origin. When I want to trace anything back, I use the Bible because for me is the farthest reaching backtracking I can do. You understand? So, Bible. Where does Bible, where does work start from in the Bible? Adam. What was the first work that God gave Adam? To tend the garden. That was his work. It wasn't a job, it was work. And what I mean by wasn't a job, it was work, was he wasn't being paid to tend the garden. There was no remuneration. The food was already available. He just needed that expression of tending. That was his work every single day. He had to tend, he had to name the animals, name the plants, and that was his work. It wasn't the end of the work was not to get something. The end of the work was to do something. That was the end to which he was working. So how you identify end work from job is work, the end is to express. Job, the end is to earn. From the beginning, there was no job. There was no job, it was just work. So work is important. God's plan was for everyone to work. Adam had to wake up every day and just do that work. The work was easy because Adam liked the work. Even though it was much, it was easy. Why you can say it was much was because God saw that he needed a help. You understand? But even Adam didn't know he needed a help, which means that the work came easy. It was flowing. He never complained about it. You understand? The came easy. And what I mean is, if you read the Bible says the animals, they came to him and he named them. So he didn't stress too much to go out and do the work. You understand? The work was all around him, but he had work to do. That's the first instance of work in the world. Now, where did jobs come in? Jobs came in at the fall of man. When man disobeyed, the man had to leave the garden. Then God gave him a job to do. You will till the ground. You understand? That now became the job. So he now had to do the job. You understand? Through which that provision would come. Now, he's not the one that makes the plant grow or gets the seed, creates the seeds in the first place. But through that energy, provision will come. So he now had to be a receptacle for doing a job through which provision comes. And that's the first instance of job where you would work because of what you are going to get. So he tills the ground because of the food he will get. And that's where the concept of job came from. You understand? That's when you started doing activity to get something out. But work was activity you did to express something. Nothing come out because you got everything already. Everybody should have work. But part time, you can't always have a job, especially as a business. There will be down times when you don't have a job. where there won't be client giving you a job that you work at to earn money. There will be times. It might be for a week, it might be for 2 weeks, it might be for a month, it might be for 6 months. Last year, it was as much as 6 months for me. No job, no job. And that's why I was scared by December. Now, this year has not been so different. I can count the amount of jobs I've gotten this year. That's the truth. I'm very honest with you guys. Amount of jobs. But I don't do like logos anymore. People that come to me and say, come and do logo, I just refer them to one of you guys, one of you guys, one of you guys. You understand? That's my own. My own is if I can get enough jobs to spread to you guys, I'll give them out. You understand? But me, myself, and when last did I get a job from a client that's been hard? But I've not been without work. I have work to do every single day. I have so much work, I need to schedule in time, but I've not gotten a job. Now, what that means is I can identify my job from my work. What I'm doing right now with you guys is work. It's work. At the end of the day, it's not like a client is paying me after I give this talk, but I have to do this talk. I told my wife I scheduled it in. 5 o'clock, I have work to do. I can't do any other thing. So anything you need me to do, let me do it now. It's my work. Every single day, I do this work of creating content for my podcast, writing stuff to encourage and give people direction. Nobody's paying me to do jack, but I show up every day to do that work. You see, that work is what gives me sanity, that I don't lose my mind when I don't have a job. So what you need, OJ, is work. Work. Not a job. You need a place where you express because of the need to express. That is the most important thing. That's the foundational thing. That is what keeps you stable. That is what, even if you don't have client calling you, you can be busy. There are sometimes I've suspended jobs because I was busy working. So let me say, oh, Tara, I need you to quickly do that. I'm not free. Oh, we need to come to our office right now. No, no, I'm not free. I'm working. So some people will say, ah, but this work you're doing, are they paying? No, no, but it's work. I'm not going to let the job infringe on the work time. Because the truth is that the work is higher than the job. We don't know it. We put the job ahead of the work because we still think we are the provider and the carer. So we work by that anxiety of being the provider. But when you know that you are the receptacle, you will choose your jobs. Not every job you will take, but you will always show up for the work. We need to understand who we are. When you understand who you are, you begin to relax a bit. Because I gave up that provider status last year. And I realized that provider status was a phony security for me to do some things and not to do some things. So a lot as guys, we have this mentality that it's like an ego trip where we can tell your wife, can't you see, I'm working for the family. We use it to get credit. You understand? To make ourselves feel good. I tell my wife that in the past, up until last year. I work for the family. I'm doing sacrifice for the family. You kind of give yourself some credit. Say you're working. You're doing a job. You understand? And I have to. I have to be the provider. If I don't work, how you eat? You should think about all those ego trip things. But if you don't work, they will eat. If you die, they will eat. They might even do better self to shock you. You understand? But when I started to surrender that it's not me, I'm just a receptacle, I started to relax a bit. I started to focus on the work I was doing. And the work gave me peace. And I never get tired of telling you guys this thing. It's from doing the work that the biggest provision comes. This year, I've hung the job for a while and I'm testing God to see how much the work can bring. And it has always surprised me to see that the job, doesn't hold a candle to the work when it comes to flow of provisions. I tell you guys this, when I started Pro Masterclass, it was not a job, but what I felt led to do. The first time I have ever made a 1 million naira in my life was from doing the work of ProUp Masterclass. The second time I ever made a 1 million naira in my life was from doing the work of ProUp Masterclass. I'll be very honest with you. I've never made a 1 million naira sitting down doing the work of a graphic designer. Never. That's why the other day when I was on Twitter and I was watching, I was seeing people saying they made this million. I'm like, ah man, guys are trying, I never make that. I don't lie to anybody. I'll tell you the truth. Never. But outside of graphic design, with this my speaking and doing content, is by doing that work that I made my first million ever. So you see, it's by not trying to be a provider that God provided the most. But whenever I tried to be the provider, we were always squeezing and managing. Till I just realized I ain't the provider, I'm just a receptacle. And as a receptacle, I pour whenever fuel comes, but I don't create the fuel. So if there's no fuel, it's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who was meant to go to the filling station and get fuel. And that is not me. I show up when fuel is there and I make sure the fuel gets into the gen without dripping, without wasting. That is my job. But I don't create the fuel to power the gen. Once you understand that, you stop stressing yourself too much. I tell my wife, you're not the carer, you're the receptacle. So, sometimes she tells me, I want to do this thing, I want to do this thing, but who will take care of the children? Like, go and do it. Leave the children. I will take care of them. Go out and do this thing. And then, are you sure you not take care of them well? Are you sure you watch them well? Are you sure I will do it? Because while you are gone, I become the receptacle. I will have the enabling for that period. What you're telling me now is an excuse for you not to do what you're meant to do with your life. And that's what a lot of women do. That's why women don't live their dreams. And they just say, I got married, I had children, so I couldn't follow my dreams anymore. No, you give yourself that excuse because you felt without you touching it, nobody can care better. And that is not true. That your older child can care better. Go and do what you have to do. You'll be a good receptacle for the next 1 hour, 2 hours. Sometimes, this middle class mentality that we have is what the rich people don't have, and even the poor people don't have. The other day I was walking and I saw a girl, my daughter's age mate, backing her brother, my youngest son's age mate. And I'm like, where did we get this mentality from that we don't trust our children? She was backing her brother. How the mother was doing something else. I can't even trust my daughter to not back, just sit down with her brother there. I'll be checking, distracting myself. Because me and my wife feel we are the carer. If we are not caring, nobody can care like we are caring. You understand? And that's the mistake. We stress ourselves. We stress ourselves. But I saw this girl, low income family, backing her child, and she was backing. Me, I can't even back my child like that. Backing well because the parent trusted her to be a receptacle while they were busy doing some other things. But because we have this ego, if I'm not the one that cooks, the food cannot be sweet. If I'm not the one that mops, the floor cannot be clean. If I'm not the one that does the homework with them, they won't do it well. That's the ego trip that women have. The same ego trip that men have. If I'm not the one that works, they won't go. We will never travel for holiday. If I'm not the one that will never pay for this, if I'm not the one that you think too much of yourself, you're just a receptacle that a dog can eat and spoil, and you'll be replaced by a bottle that is cut. So relax. Relax. We all need to relax. And I need to say relax because I know that there's pressure out there. There's pressure out there. There's pressure out there making you feel like you are the one that needs to get done stuff. And we prioritize all this doing of stuff. So much rubbish content out there. I'm sorry to say, but rubbish content that is just priming people the wrong way. I heard there's a program or a show out there called New Money. I saw it. What's it saying? Youths that make the first 200K in Nigeria and stuff like that. Well, some people see it as inspiration, but that will be the death of some people because they can't tell the difference between inspiration and pressure anymore. That thing that you say is inspiring you is the same thing depressing you. You don't know. So they are wolf in sheep clothing. They seem like good content on the surface, but just open the mouth of that sheep and you see the teeth inside. Pay attention to the ear, then you realize that it's not a sheep. It's actually a wolf. It's there to kill me. But people are rejoicing that it's inspiring them. I'm inspired. Inspired. I make 200K too. Who told you? You might never make that 200K that those people are 200K dollars. But you binge on those things that makes you entitled to feel like if that should be your life. And you think that's inspiration. No. Inspiration makes you look at your life and makes you realize what you have, not what you could have. What you have already, that's inspiration. If you have to look at someone's life and say, I could be that, that's not inspiration, that's pressure. A lot of pressure filled content out there. So what if they're making 200K dollars? Are you entitled to make 200K dollars? You might never make 200K dollars in your life, no matter how hard you work. But you must be happy with what you are making and thankful for it. That you have the opportunity to be a receptacle of that thing while you focus on the work. So I understand where the pressure is coming from. Wolf in sheep clothing. There are so many around us that people don't even they don't even know what sheep look like anymore because there are too many wolf in sheep clothing. So we think wolf in sheep clothing is what sheep look like. We've forgotten what sheep look like. We forget that sheep don't have sharp teeth. So we're seeing those things, they're burying their teeth and we're happy. Don't get sucked in, guys. Don't get sucked in. A lot of you are going to write off your year because of some rubbish priming that media has given you of what a complete and successful year should be. You write off your year that my year has been bad. Why? Because your year was not like this person's year that made 200K dollars. What rubbish. There's too much work to do for you guys to start getting distracted. Do the work. You guys need to find the work. So, OJ, when you're not actively doing a job, be doing your work. Because you know what? The older we get, the only thing that will be left is the work. Because you retire from the job. My dad did job now for years. Now he's retired. And now he's looking for work. And I thank God he has found this farming thing and he's fulfilling him. You understand? But what it makes me know is that at the end of the job will come to an end. That's why people get depressed in their retirement age. That's why they get depressed in their retirement age because they spend so much time working. But in the end, everybody will all resort to the work. So when you try to find work in your retirement age, it's very hard. It's very hard. It's very hard because you don't have the vigor or the energy to start doing that work and that kind of thing. So, OJ, when you are not occupied with the job, always be occupied with the work because the work is much. There's never a gap. There's never a gap with the work. The work is much. So when you look at the Bible, you look at the more your life advances, the more the work will take over your life that you won't have time for job anymore. Then that's when you get into that state of flow where you just concentrate on the work and the resources come. When you look at the life of Paul in the Bible, say he was a tent maker now. It got to a point he couldn't even have time to be doing tent anymore. He had the work to do, that work of evangelism and writing letters to people. That was the work. Then God had to now start providing for him through generous gifts and offers. That's why he was always thanking people. Thank this person for giving to me. Thank this person for giving to me. Thank this person for. I don't need. Sometimes I have a lot. Sometimes I don't have much, but I never lack. You understand? Because at the point he became so busy with the work that he couldn't do that tent making anymore. Same thing with Christ now. The work was carpentry now. But when he started, the job was carpentry. But when he started the work, there was no time for it anymore. So he had supporters. So when you start the work, you begin to have supporters that will support, encourage, support, encourage. Shebi, Victor Eka is here now. He just called me out of the blue one day, gave me a microphone. I didn't I didn't pay for that microphone. I didn't even know the value of that microphone. It's my wife that saw it and said, "This microphone that you have, do you know how good this mic is?" That's the mic I saw this person using now. So now, my wife does research very well. That she's a research master. She just researched it. See how much this thing is, oh. Because I was busy doing the work. You have people that support you while you do the work. But the job, you work for everything you get. So it's tiring. So I don't know what your work is, OJ. We've talked about this thing before. You say you like teaching and you want to teach younger guys. You need to start that thing. I'm telling you, you need to start that thing. By the time you start that thing, you even remember that it has been 2 months since you got a client job. The kind of peace you will feel, the kind of fulfillment you will feel waking up every morning. Trust me, you would love being OJ. Even when you have very little in your bank account, you have the confidence that comes from you don't know, as in the confidence that just comes from above. You walk with your shoulders high, not based on how much you have. I used to do that how much you have too. That would make me feel like the man of the house. So when I have a lot of money, I feel like I've earned my father status. But when I didn't have a lot, I'll be feeling some kind of shame. So when they're asking me for stuff and I can't provide, then I will cover all that shame with some anger and some petty arguments and some just being a nuisance in the house because I was ashamed of I don't have enough. So I'm not a good enough father. You understand? But when I realized that I'm a father, full stop, receptacle, never changes, never changes. You understand? Whether I have a lot, I'm confident. If I don't have a lot, I'm confident. Whether I have a lot, I'm loving. I don't have a lot, I'm loving. I became a better version of myself. And that's what leads us to this your second question, which I would answer and try to close this now. Is you see this vendor that took your work, he took your job, he didn't take your work. You understand? That will happen. Sometimes when that happens, you laugh at it because in the end, the job will end. So let them take it. In the end, someone will take that your job. Forget story. No matter how well you guard it, someone will take it. Either you get too old, somebody else will come and take it. You get too old, too slow, too uninformed, too this. Someone will take your job. You understand? So when someone takes it now, hmm, just a job. It's not your identity. It's okay. Let him take it. You understand? Let him take it. In the end, you're getting older. You're letting go of it. So people will take it. As a matter of fact, you get to the point where they don't take it anymore. You're the one that gives it to them. So that's where I am right now. So when people are coming to me with job, I'm not giving it to people. I'm just distributing. You take, you take, you take, you take, you take, you take. Give it to them. Because in the end, the job doesn't last that long. When they do it too for a while, them too, they will take, give, give. But you want to get to a point where you are the one giving, rather than get to that was the mistake we make in Nigeria. People do job and they stay there till people come and take it. It's more shameful for people to take, but then you get to when you start giving. You understand? Just give them, give them. So you introduce the person to a job, yes. Then you went behind your back, discuss. That's all right. It wasn't meant for you in the first place. If the client had any honor, they wouldn't give him that job. If the client had any honor, that's the truth. I've done jobs like that before, where I have vendors that work for me. If the client, and I've worked with dishonorable clients too, that will just talk with my guys at my back and say, how much is Mr. Tola paying you? Let's talk man to man, me and you. Let's talk. How much will you do this job? We'll do another job. Let's cut this Mr. Tola out. When that happens, I don't really. Number one, my vendors, they don't do that to me, but it has happened before. I don't really worry because it just shows that number one, the vendor doesn't have honor, the client doesn't have honor. Why do I? Why am I feeling bad about two dishonorable people? I don't want to be in the association of people that are dishonorable. Those people can kill me. You understand? They can to get a piece of bread. So I thank God that they found each other. You understand? And they removed me out of it because I don't want to be in the company of dishonorable people. So don't worry. When that happens, they have shown the character of the vendor. They have shown the character of the client. You move on. That's God protecting you. You get me? So OJ, three things you should get out of this. Number one, check your chest. Your health is everything. Your health keeps you in the world to add your value. So you want to keep your health in good state. You are accountable for your health. So check it out. Check out your health. My the pastor of my church used to say one thing. He says there are some little things that you should stitch in time. A little sickness, take care of it in time. Take care of a little sickness. He talks about a little something. He talks about a little part, a little tear in a cloth. Take care of that one too. Sometimes just a little tear before you know it has torn the whole arm. You can take care of those things. You know, no, a little, those little things. Just go out, check it out, and go and meet a doctor. Um, Number two, relax. You're not the provider. You're a receptacle for provision. You understand? You're a receptacle for provision. So relax. The provider is working. When it comes, they will pour the fuel. Just that you need to be there when the fuel is being poured. Understand? And number three, don't sweat this honorable company. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. If you are with somebody and the person is cheating on you, you should be happy that you have not gotten married to the person before the person started cheating. You understand? You don't sweat that kind of thing. You move on. Just say thank God. Oh. Thank God this one happened before we committed too much to it. Still God taking care of you. To everyone, I want you guys to relax. But it's impossible to relax when your content is not relaxing. So watch your inspiration and question whether your inspiration is your source of pressure. If your inspiration comes from people saying, "See me, see me, see me, your life could be like me," that's that's towing, that's towing that thin line between inspiration and pressure. You don't have to see somebody's life and wish your life was like that before you're inspired to do more with your life. What you have to see is your life and the potential you have in your life, and that inspires you to do more with the raw material, the resources you have. Do you understand? So, what's your inspiration? Be grateful for what you have this year. Your year is not a waste unless you say it's a waste. When you open your eyes, you realize how much you do have to be thankful for this year. It's been a hard year for everybody, if you're being honest. You understand? For most people, not everybody. Let me not generalize, but it's been a hard year for most people. But um, there are two things people have done with with the hardness of their life. There are some people that have spent time lamenting. Those people they've wasted the precious resource of pain as a waste when you lament when you have pain. And there are some people that have documented, you understand? And those people have used their pain, they've put it in a bottle, they've documented it, and they've put it in a cellar, and that thing is going to ferment and form good wine, fine wine later on. When you get that pain, you'll be like, whoa, this thing was pain when I put it in here, but now it's juice that the world I can share with people. That's why when I had that issue last year, I documented. I'm so thankful that I didn't lament, that I could document. Because if I lamented, it's just like pouring fine wine on the streets because it's fermenting. You understand? But no, you put it because that fermentation causes the wine to be better. You understand? So document your pain. Come back to it next year. and see how much you learn from it and share it with other people that are going through that pain. That's how pain doesn't win. That's how you win over pain. Don't lament. You understand? Just document. You don't know what to do. You don't know what you don't understand why this year has been so messed up. You understand for you why it's been so struggle filled. Why it's been so man, I don't know. I'll document it in a bottle. At least I'm alive. Next year I'll come back to it. You start before even next year. You have other people approach you when you've come out of your pain, and then you give them a glass of pain, of your fermented pain, and they drink it. Man, this good wine. You understand? But they didn't know it was pain when you were getting it. So that's my advice to you guys, though. And I hope you guys take time to listen to this and share it with someone that needs it. And yeah, share it with someone that needs it. Share it with someone. Sometimes we listen to stuff too much, we don't share it. There are other people that need it. Share with someone that listens to it as much as possible. I will listen to it too because we all need it at the end of the day. But OJ, I hope you've gotten something from this. Um, I wish I could see help every single person because what I can say is that it's been a hard year for everyone because I've interacted with almost all of you. One common denominator is hardship, and as I know that it's hard. But it's hard so that you can get better, not because God hates you. No, so that God is fine tuning something in you to make you someone of quality. You understand? Don't forget it. Don't forget that. You understand? The pain is going to make you better. I can guarantee you to make you better. It will make you better. You understand? To make you better. Yeah, so guys, that's about it for now. If you have any questions, let's go to the group and share the question. I don't want this recording to get too long. But let's go to the group, share your questions. I'll take my time to try to answer it. Well, thank you guys for taking out the time to be to be part of this discussion. I thought it was just going to be me and OJ, but I'm glad to see everyone turn up. It shows that you people keep tabs on our our channel here. So yeah, thanks a lot for being a part of this. Have a great evening, guys. And let's meet on the group, on the WhatsApp group, if there is any other question.
Thank you so much, sir, for this session.
You're welcome.